So really, how bad are these college campuses? How bad are these cities that are housing this complete woke ideology? Well, today we're going to talk about that. Now, I made a video not too long ago about getting out now, getting away from the cities. Now, the people that would be getting away are the people that are living there that are almost trapped. It's not the fact that a lot of woke ideologies or a lot of these people that support these colleges are going to move out. This is exactly what they're wanting. But for the normal American, you've got to get out. Now, today let's discuss, along with that, these colleges and how we see a double standard actually happening right in front of us, and no one wants to call their hand at it. We're going to talk about a quote that came from Germany before the war started. We're going to talk about a quote that tells us, the more we talk about it and not do anything about it, we're lying and waiting for something catastrophic to happen. Let's jump into it today. This is going to be a great video, and I hope that you'll watch to the end. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. Thank you for supporting us by giving us a thumbs up if you like this content, for subscribing. We've been again shadowed just a tad this last week from this platform, so I hope that you will keep on giving us a thumbs up. That does help us share our message across this platform. Now today we're going to be talking about really the point of the college breakdown and also the city breakdown. Both of those are going hand in hand. To be honest with you, most colleges are in a lot of these big cities. A lot of the ones you see in rural America, like community colleges, are not feeling this kind of brunt. So why is it important for us to look a little bit more into this? Because there is, first of all, major funding happening to them. Private, but not only that, public. And what do I mean by that? Well, this bill that we just passed, this $95 billion bill that the Republicans just basically let the Democrats walk over, and also just basically, again, they talk about really fiscal conservative and fiscal responsibility, but they laxed it. There's a hidden agenda in that bill that funds parts of migrants coming across our border and getting into our areas, like cities. Well, isn't that a cause and effect of what we're actually seeing? So let's dive into the cities. Let's dive into the fact of the private entities that are paying for all this, and the fact that there's public funding coming to it all. It all goes together. The invasion across our border goes with the fact of our invasion in the cities. And ultimately, it will spread like a disease if we don't fix it. First of all, let's talk about the funding. So the funding of these college issues that are happening. Also the funding that is going towards bringing mass migration to America, which is causing for more issues. Now, if you go back and look in Europe right now, there are areas in Europe, places like Germany, and in Great Britain, that the population that is actually German and the population that is actually British are actually now in the minority when it comes to Muslim immigrants coming in. There are parts of Germany that is already saying, let's bring in the Fatah, let's bring in Sharia law, let's bring in Muslim rule. And guess what? It could happen. Now, how does that deal with the colleges here? How does that deal with the migration issue here? Here's where you're missing it. $95 billion bill. While you've been distracted with the economy, I want to show you this. George Soros quite literally hates humanity in its wealth, and it tries to destabilize Europe and USA. It's been proven. Go look in its history. This is what's happening with college protesters. One group has received $300,000 from Soros's Open Society Foundation since 2017. $355,000 from the Rockefeller brothers in 2019. So far, these protesters, you wonder how they have the same tents. You wonder how they somehow just know what everything's going to happen, and all these protests break out for pro-Palestinian, against Jews, against America, against freedom. Well, there's $655,000 that's went to those organizations to protest, to cause destabilization in our colleges and in our cities. That's just on the college level. That's not talking about the millions that Soros has spent for the last few years over our cities, burning down with AGs, laxing policies. Now, your wonderful Speaker of the House came out and he's like, we shouldn't allow this to happen on college campuses. This is bad. This is wrong. I want to tell you this. $3.5 billion were slipped into the Ukrainian-Israel aid bill to supercharge mass migration from the Middle East. So we're having pro-Palestinian rallies, anti-Israel rallies in our campuses, in our cities. I mean, for instance, there is mass chaos happening in our cities that deal with not, Occupy Wall Street, not with the fact of BLM, not that. That's not the movement anymore. Now it's on pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel facets. And guess what? So Mike Johnson and these Republicans come out and say, well, this is wrong. We shouldn't allow this to happen. However, $3.5 billion was a slush fund that was put into the bills that they just accepted, that they just passed, to allow more migration to come from the Middle East. Do you not see that as a major problem? It says $3.5 billion was a slush fund that is for new processing centers in Muslim migrant camps to help people get to America. Not only did the foreign aid package do nothing to secure our own border, it allowed for $3.5 billion to supercharge the Middle East to join in America. No assimilation, so they're bringing their cultures here. If you want to have your own culture, that's fine. But if you're not assimilating to who we are as Americans, what we're doing is we're seeing the catastrophic demise and the last nail in the coffin when it comes to American sovereignty. You're going to look like Germany, you're going to look like Britain, where you're now seeing they're wanting Sharia law. What's so funny is the people that are pro-Palestinian, that's at these college levels, most of them believe in the woke ideology, which is fully against Sharia law. It's amazing how they don't do their research. Now I want to read this quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was executed in Germany back during the time of Nazi rule. Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. This is where I get so irritated with Republicans. We're so good at talking. So good at talking. Our politicians are so good at talking. Mike Johnson will condemn everything happening at college campuses right now. All these Republicans will go out there and they'll retweet or repost or have a podcast on how bad the college system is. However, they allow $3.5 billion to fund mass migration of people to come into our country. They're not talking about bringing in 70 and 80-year-olds. They're talking about bringing in kids, young adults, and families. Do you think because they're not assimilating that they're going to add to the flame, basically flame the fire when it comes to the cities and college protest about pro-Palestinian rallies? So we're good at speaking, but we're no action in there. So when I talk about normal Americans living in the cities, leaving these college towns, you better get out. For the people that are woke, the people that are staying there and believe in this, they're going to basically reap what they're sowing. They're going to harvest this problem, just like we've saw in Germany and Britain and all of Europe this last 10, 15, 20 years. It's happening. It's going to happen here. We're seeing foreshadowing of that. And it's amazing how our politicians will turn their back to it and act like it never happens, just like Dietrich Bonhoeffer was trying to warn the people of Germany back during Hitler's rule. You better stop this or it's going to consume us. And it did, and it cost him his life. Question is, are they wanting civil unrest? So we move from the funding, we move from the fact of the hidden agendas. Now let's talk about this. We see civil unrest happening. What's happening now is people are saying, oh crap, this is a bad situation. We may need to handle it now. So now you see these woke mayors, this woke ideology of bringing police in. Well, now it's making police look terrible because police may be wanting to do what they're wanting to do is enforce the law. Well, they've not enforced the law for so long in these towns that when all of a sudden police start enforcing the law again, they become the bad guys. And then you see a complete and utter chaos. In Austin, there is police fighting against the demonstrators. In Columbia University, you're seeing there was buildings taken over by these people, and then all of a sudden National Guard and police are coming in and they're trying to help the situation, and you're seeing mass chaos. There was a shooting yesterday of officers. There's been officers hurt. There's been officers killed these last few weeks, and it's all because we have lost respect for them. For one thing, we've not allowed them to enforce the law, and now that we're allowing them to enforce the law, it makes them look like the utter bad guys, and bam, they're disrespected and things happen. Problems happen. Well, then the news spins it because they're saying, well, all these police are starting to mace. All these police are starting to put pepper bombs out. All these police are starting to harm the protesters. Sadly, they're spinning it to where, again, are we going to have another, mass movement of no police? Are we going to see another defund situation of police because they're trying to do their job now when these woke schools are allowing it to happen? We said yesterday Harvard did not raise the pro-Palestinian flag, but Harvard allowed it to happen. What did we see with Dietrich Bonhoeffer? To not act is actually to act. So when we allow these protesters to go crazy in our colleges, what we're doing is we're setting them up to be able to do this anytime they want to do it. And guess what? They're raising a different flag over something that we pay for on the United States ground of something we fund. Do we not think that is dangerous? Do we not see the precedent we're allowing to be set by these people? I heard there's a few universities that are trying to negotiate with protesters. What? I don't remember any negotiation on J6, and there was no one dying. There was no overthrow saying that that death to America. But then again, we're trying to negotiate with these kids who's not even grown up in the real world, who's not even worked, who's not even contributed to society other than causing more pain and chaos and suffering in these cities and in these college campuses. You're seeing a breeding ground of corruption, but you're also seeing a breeding ground of evil. And if we don't face this evil or figure out what we can do better about it and elect people who are willing to stand against it and leaders who are willing to stand against it, you're truly seeing the demise of American sovereignty. Protesters of anti-Israel encampments, also against America, take down the American flag of University Hall in the Central Administration Building at Harvard, and Harvard students cheered to see the American flag go down and Palestinian flag go up. Who are these kids' parents? What house are they being raised in to cheer on a pro-Palestinian flag? And they have no idea what this belief and how these people who truly believe in this movement, who are true believers in Sharia law, how they would literally persecute and kill every one of these people that are supporting them in this woke movement on these college campuses. One more Dietrich Bonhoeffer quote, and I think it's excellent. It says, "Actions spring not from thought, but from the readiness of responsibility." We can think about it and talk about it. I can see Mike Johnson post about it. I can see all these politicians post about how dangerous this is. But until they say this is my responsibility to fix it, nothing will happen. I cannot stand politicians to come in front of me and tell me what they should have done, and all the while they pass a bill that pretty much funds it to keep on happening. And then they'll try to spin it as, oh well, it's for security, safety, and all. Don't listen to all that jargon. It's all political garbage. And what's happening is you're seeing your nations falter, all because they want money in their pocket and money on the table, and they're allowing this to happen. You know why Soros, people don't understand, you know why he destabilizes economies? Go back and see what he did in Great Britain years ago. He destabilized, rebought into the market, and ultimately made billions, really betting against the currency, betting against the sovereignty of that nation. You're just seeing this movement keep on going. It's not that he hates making money. It's not that he's a socialist. And a lot of these billionaires don't want to be, they're not socialist. Here's what they are. They're shrewd businessmen that say we're going to have so much money that we're going to be the power. We're going to be the oligarchs. And this is a way that they can do it because they can control government. They can destabilize government. They have that power. So, you know, when they put these AGs in, these AGs are such bought and paid for. These colleges are such bought and paid for. But they're doing the will of these oligarchs and the will of this narrative that let's get rid of American freedom. And so therefore then the lords, the people who have controlled all this, become in power, and typical Americans have no freedoms anymore. Typical Americans have no sovereignty anymore. Typical Americans have lost their way, all because they really were blinded, didn't do their research, didn't have wisdom, and now really honestly support this. So all those politicians that are against the colleges, you should say, well, did you vote yes on the Ukrainian funding bill? Because ultimately you're funding more of this. You're funding more of this rallies to keep on going on because you just gave $3.5 billion to just mass migrate all these people who, you know, support Palestinian rule and pro-Palestinian movements versus anti-Israel or even American values. It is truly heartbreaking to see it, because I think for people who are trying to be as wise as they can, and I'm not some awesome wise person, but it's like we see the tunnel that we're going down, and we see the hill that we're going down to where the valley is going to destroy us, and we just keep going because we can't stop, because there's not enough people pushing against the narrative. It breaks my heart, and I hope that we can all wake up and realize that, as Mr. Bonhoeffer said, when we don't act and when we don't commit to doing something about it in itself, that is an action of trusting the other side. And when we don't act, we're actually acting against them. It's kind of like when people say, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump. I don't like Biden, but I'm not voting this year. If you do not vote, then you're actually voting for the party that's in power. So you are actually voting. You're actively voting. You're actively supporting the other candidate. It's the same thing. We've got to wake up, guys, and quit letting these politicians try to scheme us. Quit letting these oligarchs buy into the system and destroy and destabilize our country. We're seeing it in our capitals. We're seeing it in our cities. And we're seeing it in our colleges. We are under attack. And if we don't wake up and stop this, quit negotiating and cancel the situation, bring people in there and stabilize these areas, quit funding these universities and endowments, because ultimately the taxpayers are paying not only to bring the mass migration in because of the bill we just passed, but now we're also funding the universities to keep letting it happen. So we're actually acting in support. Isn't that funny? Our money is going to support all this. While we're complaining about it, they're taking our money, because government can do that, and support it. All right, you see the sun is coming up. It's getting brighter. There's always a sunrise after a night. We have to realize there could be positivity. There could be a movement in the right direction, but it takes us seeing it. And it takes us waking up to a new day and doing something about it. Please, if you can get out of these areas, get out of these areas. But at the same time, if you are wanting to stay there and fight, and you're wanting to elect the right people, then don't let them smooze you. These politicians just keep on doing what they're doing. Also, for most Americans, a lot of Republicans voted for this bill to fund this mass migration, to have these open border situations. Get them out, primary them. Try to convince someone else to run who can stand against this, and keep them out of Washington as much as possible, because the swamp will corrupt them. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this video. Thank you so very much for watching and supporting our channel. By giving us a thumbs up, by subscribing to the channel, that supports us and it means the world to me. And I humbly thank you for it. And guys, we hope that you have a phenomenal day. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.